My ex's wife of 5.5 years is in the hospital after a miscarriage led to complications and life-saving surgery. I have custody of our kids, 10 and 8, this week and was asked to take them to see her. My kids do not have a good relationship with my ex's wife, or my ex, and neither do I, so I said no. My ex was pissed and told me his wife needs all the kids around, they have one together. I still refused. He told me I'm heartless and she has a right to have her family around her. I was not moved and still did not take them. Now for the background. My ex and I broke up when our youngest was 1. He met his wife not long after. They have a very rocky relationship. Lots of cheating on his part. They got married despite the cheating and they hate the fact I don't leave the kids with them and let them pretend to be a family of 5. They had a child together and now they claim there is no breaking up no matter how bad it gets. Unfortunately, between my kids and my ex and his wife telling me details of their relationship, I know far too much. It's toxic but not toxic enough to change custody of my kids in the eyes of the courts. I have tried. Even a therapist thought it would be in my kids' best interest. But they are cared for and that seems to be all that counts. The relationship between me and them is toxic too when we interact, so I keep any and all interactions to a minimum. I document all relevant things that could help with custody, I keep my kids in therapy, ex doesn't take them, and I try to give my kids stability and a safe space to talk. They know their dad's wife is in the hospital. They do not want to see her. My ex's mom also asked me to let the kids go see her. She said this is a hard time and the family should lean on each other during this time. That bettering the relationships are important. Ex reached out again last night and told me he wants the kids at the hospital today. I replied no. He told me I'm trying to destroy the family and should be ashamed and the kids will be there every day when he has them. Comment 1, NTA. That entire second paragraph is more than enough reason to not have the kids near these two. I was also going to ask if your kids wanted to, but someone already asked that and you said they didn't, so you're in the clear. Your ex is TA for his cheating and his wife is TA to herself for marrying a cheater, but I'm more in tune to believe she is a victim and is having a lot of trouble leaving this man, unless they are toxic to each other, and if that is the case then they shouldn't be together. Comment 2. NTA. The kids are old enough to make the call here. You asked them. They said they don't want to go. If it's during your residential time, you don't have to take them. End of story. Since he plans on taking them every day when he has them, I'd be speaking with my attorney about changing the residential schedule. He's forcing an uncomfortable situation on these kids to spend time with someone they don't have a parental connection with during a time where that relationship is extremely important. Emo. Otherwise, it's just weird and awkward. Comment 3. I hope you live in a state where at 12 the judge takes your kid's opinion into account. This is such a toxic and stressful situation. Stress is linked to miscarriage. I'm sure the wife's body is in a constant state of fight or flight, so I'm not surprised this pregnancy ended. They are very irresponsible and abusive to want to bring more kids into this vile dynamic. I hope at some point they lose custody of their joint child. They are both unfit. Your kids didn't want to go. NTA. So my best friend is like my sister and we always help each other out when needed. She has a 10-month-old baby and I have always been helping her in every way I can, but lately it started to be a daily thing. We live on the same floor next to each other and she calls me to watch her baby over everything. I need to shower, can you hold him? He is so bored, can you hold him? She calls me like multiple times a day to ask for a favor, and now even when I don't reply. She comes to my house with her baby and asks if I can hold him. Yesterday I had some work to do on my laptop and she asked me to hold him for 10 minutes cause she wanted to take a quick shower. I agreed for 10 minutes and that turned into 1.5 hours. Mind you, her son is really not an easy baby. Cries uncontrollably the moment you put him down and try to play with him. So I am forced to walk for like 1.5 hours with him in my arms while I have other things to do. Anyway, yesterday I felt lightheaded while walking around with the baby. So I put him down while trying to distract him with some toys. He kept crying so loud, but I couldn't take him cause I was worried I would drop him. She heard the crying and knocked my door in a ballistic angry way, saying, "Why do you let him cry?" I explained to her the situation and also told her that it's her fault for not disciplining him and letting him play on his own. I've babysitted a lot of babies in the past and none of them were like this. It's not the baby's fault. It's hers. She was like, "I don't like to ever hear my baby cry and I do not accept that you let him cry either." That really pissed me off. So I went on like, "Then you should hire a nanny that will fulfill all of your requirements." Extra info: nobody of her family, including her mom, want to ever help her out cause of the fact that they can't put him ever down. Not even for a second. Also, her husband has a very well-paying job. They can easily afford to hire help. Thirdly, I absolutely do not mind helping her out and I love her baby, but I do not like when it's like a must and she even gets angry when I don't do it her way. Side note, I always do it her way. Just yesterday it was taking too long and I was just concerned about his well-being, as I had already fainted a couple of days ago. When helping out someone feels like an obligation, I immediately don't want to do it anymore. Comment 1. Next time she knocks on your door with that baby, quickly grab your outside jacket and bag, and open the door. Pretend you were going out to the store or something. This is only a temporary solution for when she refuses to get the hint or if you don't know how you should say no. Comment 2. She sounds very selfish and ungrateful, not to mention entitled. I think you need to take a break from this friendship and reevaluate if she's someone you want in your life if she acts like this. Has she always been like this, taking you for granted, you always folding to her? At least stop opening your door when she knocks. Tell her you can't watch the baby, and if she gets upset, block her. There's a difference between helping her sometimes and this. She needs to learn that you don't exist to be another parent, especially when you didn't sign up for it. NTA. I am 20F and I've been estranged from my mom since she kicked me out at 18. I've been having mental health complications that caused me to not eat. It caught up to me and I blacked out at work. My dad had to pick me up and took me to the doctor's. The doctor's office I went to is somewhere I have been to since I was a child, so they know my mom. Despite my own opinions about her, she presents herself as very kind and harmless, so I don't blame others for having a good perception of her. I went in and saw the doctor. She saw me as a teen and child, so she knew me. She asked questions about my life, specifically career choice, and I informed her I wasn't going to school at the moment and just told her I didn't know what I wanted to do because I wanted to keep that private. She kind of scolded me about not going to school and not having a clear path, which already irked me, but I ignored it. The conversation continued and it came to the question of how was my mom doing. I told her I wasn't in contact with her. She again began lecturing me, telling me no matter what, she was my mom and sometimes we need to accept that we can't change our parents. It pissed me off, clearly because she doesn't know what my mom has put me through, but rather than letting go she wanted to infantilize my mom as some sort of victim who doesn't know any better. I put it bluntly and told her to please mind her own business because she is ignorant to my personal life and she should do her job instead of prying. The rest of the appointment was very awkward, but I was fuming the entire time, so I didn't pay her discomfort any mind. When I got to the car I told my dad what happened. Of course he understood why I was irritated, but he told me I should have kept it civil to avoid any issues and get it over with instead of blowing it out of proportion. I'm quite frankly tired of keeping it civil because I am constantly invalidated about how my own mother treated me. Comment 1, NTA, she's known you too long and she was not being professional. I abandoned my family doctor because he tried to shame me for wanting and taking birth control. Took me a few different tries to find a doctor I liked. Sounds like it's time to find your own doctor. Comment 2. NTA. My childhood doctor did that and also would tell other members of my family about my appointments, and me about other families' appointments. I stopped seeing him and found myself a new doctor who didn't have a connection. I also now refuse to tell my family who my doctor is, etc. May I recommend similar if possible? Comment 3. NTA I have 2 friends and they be seeing psychologists for about 20 years. The running joke in the friend group is that the psychologists are going to be able to buy yachts with the hundreds of thousands of dollars they already made from them. 26M, am British, I am also a dual citizen UK/Ireland, this is important to the story. While traveling I was staying in a hostel and a group of us there decided to go out to some bars. One of the group was an American guy, let's call him Jay. For some reason Jay immediately took against me. It started with a few jokes he made about me being British, which I can take, with the bland food bad weather type stereotypes. As the bar crawl kept going he was getting drunker and making more and more comments. For instance, he just started referring to me as the limey and was constantly saying things like he celebrated when the Queen died. It was no longer funny and was just all the time making jabs about where I am from. I'm hardly patriotic and will be the first to complain about my country, but there was a point where I was getting offended and it was personally directed at me, started imitating and mocking my accent, etc. Eventually I got annoyed and asked him why he thought he had a right to constantly be dunking on me and what his problem was with Britain. Jay's comment was along the lines of I'm Irish so it's allowed for me to constantly hate on Britain, my family came to America because of the famine and a bunch of other comments like that. At this point I was a bit drunk and had lost my temper, so I responded by waving my Irish passport in his face. I asked him questions like if he had ever actually been to Ireland, knew any family there or knew anything about Irish culture. Which he barely knew anything, didn't know of any family, and the only time he ever spent in Ireland was a week in Dublin. I started lecturing saying that a lot of Irish people had immigrated to the UK and that after his family spent over 100 years in the United States he barely had any right to consider himself Irish, let alone think it's acceptable to just hate on random people from another country. The other people on this bar crawl had noticed me losing my temper and laying into the guy and called me an asshole since he was only joking, and it's stupid to play the I'm more Irish than you game and should have just asked him to stop earlier. Comment 1. If you hadn't said that y'all were on a pub crawl, I would have been convinced that this is middle school, and he has a crush on you. Bashing someone's country of origin is not joking, it's being an NTA for shutting him down. Irish Americans can be really weird. When I was little, my grandmother described what Cromwell did with such vitriol that I thought it had happened in her lifetime. Comment 2. NTA. He's American, not Irish. I hate these PPR and that have forefathers in the New World and think they got some sort of exotic background. No, Patricia, you're not Greek, your ancestors were when they came to Australia in 1930, you're not. Comment 3. The thing that makes these stories seem fake is the witnesses who always side with the one that is obviously wrong or crazy. So either the story didn't happen like they say, they're the unluckiest person alive to be surrounded by crazy people, or they made it up.